Discover the incredible moment a little girl transformed a millionaire's crying twins on a plane. The plane buzzed with restless energy. Passengers adjusted their seats, securing carry-ons with a rustle. Among them sat Lily, a beam of sunshine at just 8 years old, clutching her teddy bear, Mr. Snuggles. His worn fur felt comforting in her small hands, a safety blanket amidst the chaos of the commercial flight from Chicago to Los Angeles. Her family may have been tight-knit and working class, but Lily wore hope like a badge, her bright spirit shining through the heavy atmosphere of the airplane. Beside her, Charles, a slick, high-powered millionaire in a tailored suit, a stark contrast to the airplane's dull, fabric-covered seats, fidgeted. He furrowed his brow while juggling deadlines and board meetings in his mind. His twin children, Mia and Ethan, clung to him, eyes wide with fear as the plane taxied. They cried softly, their tiny faces streaked with tears, nerves bubbling over from never having flown before. As safety announcements carried through the cabin, the turbulence began with unexpected ferocity. The plane lurched. Charles's internal panic escalated. He squeezed his kids close, but the fear in their eyes twisted his heart. His long hours at work, filled with negotiations and power lunches, left him emotionally adrift. Wall Street success came at a steep price. The stress tightened his chest, a stark reminder of what he had sacrificed. Just then, Lily's cheerful voice broke through the tension. "Hey, it's okay. I've flown lots of times. Once, I even saw a rainbow from my window. And my grandma makes the best cookies." She spoke with genuine excitement, her little face lit with enthusiasm, contrasting sharply with Mia and Ethan's teary expressions. Princesses and pirates danced in her joyful explanations, and little by little, she coaxed smiles from the twins. Each story was a small dose of bravery, instilling hope in the little ones. For Charles, seeing them laugh was a revelation. This simple act of kindness from a child sparked a flicker of warmth in his heavy heart. They were moments he'd missed, moments worth cherishing, moments he feared might slip away under the weight of his responsibilities. But just as the laughter started to rise, the captain's serious announcement shattered the calm. Due to a severe storm, they were making an emergency landing. Panic swept through the cabin. The noise amplified a cacophony of cries and apprehension. In that storm of fear, Lily instinctively reached out, grasping Charles's hand, her small palm reassuring against his. When their eyes met, his wall began to crumble. Here was a little girl, encapsulating all that was good, innocent, and hopeful. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the plane began its descent and uncertainty loomed, Charles felt the weight of his busy corporate life crash down. Was it too late to reconnect with Mia and Ethan? This flight, with all its chaos, had become a turning point. When they landed and emergency responders greeted the aircraft, he couldn't shake Lily's unwavering hope from his mind. He looked down at her adorable smile and realized he was at a crossroads. Would he seize this fleeting moment of clarity to nurture the family bond he let fade? Or would the pressures of his high-flying world pull him back into its relentless grip? The flight was a metaphor for his life, a chance to rise above, if only he could take it. As the aircraft touched down with a jolt, chaos erupted into organized confusion. Emergency responders rushed to the side of the plane, their red and blue lights flashing against the gathering storm clouds. The atmosphere shifted from fear to frantic relief. Passengers unbuckled their seatbelts, the shrill announcement of "Remain seated." Drowned by relieved laughter and distracting chatter, Charles took a deep breath, still gripping Lily's hand. Her trust filled him with a strange courage. He turned to Mia and Ethan. "You two okay?" he asked, his voice softer now, like a cool evening breeze after a hot summer day. Mia sniffled, wiping her tears with the back of her hand. "Can we go home now?" she asked, her voice small and fragile. "Not yet, sweetheart. We just need to get off the plane first, all right?" His heart ached for her innocence wrapped in fear, and in that moment, he saw it, the precious bond he had overlooked through all the clatter of his demanding world. Muffled words floated around them, discussions of landing procedures and missing luggage. But all Charles could focus on was the gentle grip of Lily's small hand. This tiny girl had shifted his course in ways he never expected. Once the door was finally opened, a rush of cool air flooded inside, mixing with the lingering tension. Charles stood up, lifting both Mia and Ethan, one in each arm. They looked over his shoulders, eyes wide with awe and trepidation at the sight of the responders. "Look," Lily pointed excitedly as they began to exit. "It's like a superhero team." Her joy was infectious. The twins, still wrapped in their father's embrace, couldn't help but chuckle. They stepped onto the tarmac, feeling the rain begin to drizzle from the darkening sky. The responders approached with calm smiles, reassuring the shaken passengers. Charles felt a wash of gratitude toward them, soaking him in warmth, pulling him out of the icy grip of his former, heartless world. "Hey there," one of the firefighters said, kneeling to be eye level with Mia and Ethan. "What do you think of this adventure? Was it scary?" "A little," Mia replied shyly while Ethan nodded solemnly. They seemed to relax a bit, captivated by the friendly demeanor of their rescuer. "Scary sometimes means exciting. You know, you two are like real-life superheroes. You flew through the storm. That's something to tell all your friends." The firefighter flashed a dazzling grin that melted their worries. Lily beamed. "And I have a great story now. They even said it was a rainbow." Her words floated into the air, sparkling like the first light of dawn. Charles watched her, his heart swelling with pride. Here was a lesson he never paid attention to: the magic of believing in something good. They were ushered into a waiting area while the storm continued to swirl outside. Drinks and snacks were offered to calm their nerves. As the twins munched on pretzels, they joked about their adventure, laughter filling the space around them. But as Charles looked into Mia's and Ethan's eyes, he realized that beneath the comfort of familiarity, fear still lingered there. The question took root within him: how could he guide them back to that feeling of safety and love he yearned to give? Then, just as the storm began to fade and the sun peeked through the clouds, a new voice rang out, a voice that made the children's heads turn. "Dad." It was Lily's mom, rushing in with concern written all over her face. In a moment, the world paused. Charles knew that he faced another choice. Would he step forward and embrace this unexpected twist in his life, or would he retreat back to his old world, leaving behind the possibilities of connection and love? With a flicker of hope, he took a deep breath, preparing for the heart-wrenching conversation ahead. And in the distance, thunder rumbled again, foreshadowing change. Would their newfound connections weather the storm that life was about to bring? The waiting area buzzed with anxious energy as parents reunited with their children. Relief washed over every face, but for Charles, the atmosphere shifted dramatically when he saw Lily's mother hurrying toward them. Her eyes darted from the children to him, laden with panic punctuated by the edges of a broad worry. "Lily," her mom gasped, dropping to her knees as she enclosed their daughter in a fierce embrace. For a moment, the chaos around Charles faded to silence as he watched. The warmth of a mother's love was undeniable, and though he felt an unexpected pang in his chest, he forced himself to stay present. This was Lily's moment, and she deserved it completely. "Mom, our plane was in a storm," Lily exclaimed, excitement bubbling through remnants of fear as she included her siblings in the retelling. "And then we landed safely, and I held hands with Mr. Charles." "Mr. Charles?" Her mom turned to him, wide-eyed, the weight of concern still fresh on her forehead. "Just keeping an eye on them," he responded with a tentative smile, still cradling Mia and Ethan close. They were at the edge of their comfort zone, but here, surrounded by laughter and relief, he hoped for a sense of normalcy to wash over them. "Thank you," her mom said, her voice full of gratitude. "I was so scared." I thought her voice trailed off, unable to finish the sentence that loomed like a storm cloud. "No need to worry," Charles assured her, feeling the gentle tug of responsibility cradle his heart. They were brave. All of them. His gaze fell back to Mia and Ethan. He could see Ethan's shoulders tightening again, the remnants of fear etched in his small face. With his heart racing, Charles gently set them down, kneeling to their height. "Hey, buddy. You okay?" Ethan's bottom lip trembled before he nodded vigorously. "I want to go home now." "I know," he whispered, brushing Ethan's hair back. "But remember what you told me? We're brave, like superheroes." "Sometimes, even superheroes get scared," Ethan replied, his voice small but thoughtful. "Absolutely," Charles said, heartened by the dim light of understanding in his son's eyes. "But they have each other. And that, my friend, is what makes them strong." Mia leaned into him, her small fingers clutching his shirt, an anchor in a sea of swirling emotions. Her gaze met his, a silent plea for reassurance. Just then, a commotion arose near the edge of the waiting area. A group of passengers, still in shock from the storm, began to share their frightening tales. Laughter erupted as someone recounted how they thought they might have seen a unicorn in the clouds, using playful imagination to reclaim power over fear. Charles could feel the atmosphere shift, the children gaining a measure of comfort in the shared incredulity of the experience. Lily's mother, seeing that the tone relaxed, turned back to Charles. "Are you sure you're okay? You were so calm with them." I just did what felt right," he replied, his heart swelling with a sudden sense of purpose. "They showed me that we can face anything together. I think that's all that matters." Her eyes softened, and for a flicker, Charles sensed they both understood something bigger, the essence of connection, of humanity. And then, as if in acknowledgement of the moment, the sun finally broke through the clouds. But just as everything felt settled, an urgent shout pierced the air from the responders. "We need to check the rest of the passengers. Please stay seated." Charles' heart dropped. The moment was about to shift again, and he could tell the children felt the uncertainty ripple through the room. Fear flickered in Ethan's eyes, and then it dawned on Charles. How would he bring them back to a feeling of safety again? As uncertainty surrounded them, he grasped Mia and Ethan's hands, ready to shield them from whatever came next, steeling himself for the unexpected storms that still lay ahead. And in that instant, he made a choice, to confront the chaos surrounding them, not just for himself, but for the children too. Would they all emerge stronger together, or would the shadows return to haunt them? As the urgency in the air thickened, Charles tightened his grip on Mia's and Ethan's hands. He could feel their small bodies quivering, and for a heartbeat, he felt the looming weight of their fears reflected in his chest. Anxiety surged like a tidal wave, threatening to wash them away, but Charles knew he had to act. "Let us sit down," he said gently, guiding them to a row of chairs. The children nodded, but their eyes darted around the crowded area, searching for signs of reassurance. They needed something, a thread of safety to clutch onto amid the chaos. Taking a deep breath, he leaned down so his face was level with theirs. "Remember when we saw those clouds swirling? They felt huge and scary, right? But could they fly us away? No, they just moved. And look at us. We're grounded and safe." Mia blinked, her little brows knitting together. "But what if they don't let us go home?" "They will," Charles assured her. "And while we wait, we can play a game. How about we pretend the other passengers are superheroes too? And we're part of their secret mission." Ethan's lip quivered slightly, but then he smiled, the idea sparking a light in his eyes. "Like when the plane was shaking. We were all heroes." "There you go." Charles beamed. "And we're waiting for the biggest superhero, the one who'll take us home. We just have to be patient and brave." The children's faces brightened a bit, encouragement trickling in as he spun tales of flights and adventures, weaving in elements of their earlier experience. "Look over there," he said, pointing toward a group near the entrance. "What do you think their superpowers are?" They're flight attendants," Mia exclaimed, eyes wide. "And they can make food." "Yes, that's a fantastic power." Charles laughed lightly. "And they've got power to keep us safe and check everyone, just like we're doing right now." Mia giggled, a sound so precious it warmed his heart. Ethan chimed in, his spirits lifting. They can fly through the air faster than a rocket. Absolutely, and you both are with me, my sidekicks, Charles said, grinning. With every word, he could sense their fears starting to ebb, replaced with the joy of imagination. Yet, even as laughter bubbled around them, a part of Charles remained alert, watching the officials move through the crowd, making concise checks, their serious expressions contrasting with the children's newfound playfulness. The uncertainty still lingered. He didn't want to let his guard down entirely. Then suddenly, his heartbeat quickened as he spotted a familiar face out of the corner of his eye. A woman was standing at the entrance, tall and imposing, with a look that spoke of authority. It was the flight captain from earlier that day. There was something in her stride that conveyed both wisdom and strength, a woman shaped by stormy skies and calm after the storm. As she scanned the area, her gaze landed on Charles and the kids. He felt almost exposed, like she could see the raw mix of worry and determination bulging beneath his skin. In that moment, all chatter faded, and he felt time stretch. Would she notice their carefree moment amid the seriousness? Would she bring them news that would either light their spirits even more or crush them back to worry? He had to know. "Mr. Charles?" The captain called out, her voice slicing through the murmur of faces. "Can we have a word?" His heart raced. Whatever the captain was about to say could shape their next chapter. This was at the moment that would either affirm their strength or toss them back into the dark. With a squeeze of reassurance, Charles stood, prompting Mia and Ethan to follow closely. As they made their way through the crowd towards her, he felt the weight of responsibility once more. But perhaps this was a chance at clarity, a turning point for all of them. What revelation might await him in this unexpected encounter? Charles approached the flight captain, his heart hammering in his chest, as if echoing the cacophony around them. Ethan and Mia stood close, their youthful innocence a stark contrast to the tension he felt. The captain's gaze softened when it landed on the kids, but her expression remained serious. "Thank you for waiting, Mr. Charles," she began, her voice steady. "There's been a delay in communications, but I can assure you the situation is under control. We're working diligently to ensure everyone is safe." Relief washed over Charles like a cool breeze on a summer's day, but then something in the captain's tone shifted slightly. "I've seen families in distress, and I can only imagine the weight those little hearts are carrying right now." She paused, looking down at Mia and Ethan. "They're brave like heroes." Mia stifled a giggle, momentarily forgetting the heaviness. "We're super sidekicks," she exclaimed, puffing out her chest. Charles chuckled, feeling the warmth spread in his chest. But the captain continued, "And I'm here, not just to oversee, but also to share something wonderful with you all. An unexpected twist in our day." What could that be? Charles thought, his curiosity piqued as the captain reached into her pocket. She pulled out a small, gleaming object, a plastic badge, bright and decorated with a star. "Today," she said, kneeling to be at their eye level while holding the badge out toward Ethan and Mia, "you both have been officially promoted to junior flight heroes. This badge means you get to help me spread the news that safety is our top priority. You'll be our ambassadors, making sure everyone stays calm and hopeful." Ethan's eyes widened, and Mia clapped her hands in delight. "Wow, we're real heroes." "Yes, you are," the captain said. "And every superhero has to face challenges. You may feel scared sometimes, but being brave shows true strength." Charles felt emotion swell inside him. In the face of uncertainty, this little act of recognition brought laughter, joy, and an unexpected bridge between the chaos outside and the safe haven they created within. As the children hugged the captain, he realized that transformation often hides in the smallest gestures of kindness. Just then, a muffled announcement echoed through the terminal. "Attention, passengers. We have news regarding the delayed flights." The captain's expression shifted, and the energy in the air prickled. "I need to go check what's happening. Stay here with your new badges." With that, she strode off, her presence demanding attention as she moved through the crowd. Charles knelt, eye to eye with Mia and Ethan. "You both are doing great. Let us keep our spirits up until she comes back. Mia nodded, the badge still glimmering in her tiny hand like it held magic. What if we tell everyone about our superpowers? Ethan chimed in, and we can rescue them from being scared. Charles chuckled, but his heart beat heavily with concern. Would there really be a resolution? Time stretched on as the children invented games around their newfound roles, but questions loomed like dark clouds. Moments later, the captain returned, a serious look etched into her features that sent a ripple of anxiety through Charles. "We're about to make an important announcement regarding our flight," she stated. What could that announcement entail? Hope flickered, battling the weight of uncertainty. Charles held his breath, knowing that whatever would come next could change everything. The terminal fell eerily silent as the captain stood before the gathered crowd, her presence commanding every pair of eyes on her. Charles could feel the thrumming of his heart in his throat, a tightness wrapping around it like a vice. Ethan and Mia stood beside him, their faces bright with anticipation, but shadows of worry flickering in their eyes. "Ladies and gentlemen," the captain began, her voice steady yet laced with urgency. "We have encountered a significant issue. Due to weather conditions, our flight has been delayed further than we initially anticipated. We understand how this news affects your plans, and we appreciate your patience. Our team is doing everything possible to resolve the situation." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Charles felt the frustration and anxiety in the air, palpable and heavy. Yet, beside him, he saw Mia's excitement to be a junior flight hero. She held her badge tightly, a small grin creeping onto her face. "Look, Daddy, everyone needs us to be heroes now more than ever." Her innocent optimism cut through the distress like a ray of sunlight hitting dark clouds. Charles smiled, his heart warming despite the tension surrounding him. Ethan, sensing Mia's contagious energy, turned to their dad. "What can we do to help?" The captain's expression softened again as she glanced at the kids. "That's the spirit, you two. You can do what heroes do best, spread hope." With that, an idea sparked in Charles's mind. "How about we gather everyone here and while we wait, we all share something positive? Funny stories? Jokes? It's a chance to lighten the mood a little." Ethan's eyes lit up. "Can we? Please." The captain nodded. "That's brilliant, Mr. Charles. It could provide some much-needed distraction." To Charles's surprise, the captain pulled a small microphone from her pocket. "All right, everyone. Can I get your attention? I have two brave junior flight heroes who want to help brighten our spirits." Charles led Mia and Ethan to the front of the gathering, feeling that familiar surge of pride. They stood side by side, badges shining bright. "We might be waiting longer than we thought, but we can make this time fun. Who wants to hear some stories or jokes?" A few scattered laughs emerged among the crowd, and a woman raised her hand. "I can tell a story." Another joined in. "I can tell a joke." As stories unfolded, the atmosphere shifted. Laughter bubbled. The kids were right, their little shuffle of positivity created ripples. Mia's animated storytelling about her imaginary friends had everyone giggling. Ethan chimed in with a silly knock-knock joke, igniting a wave of chuckles that echoed through the terminal. Charles's chest swelled with gratitude. In a moment of darkness, these two had the extraordinary ability to uplift. He felt his worries ease as laughter spread, a testament to the resilience and joy found even in uncertainty. But amidst that joy, a twinge of anxiety remained tucked in the corner of his heart. Just then, the captain returned, and there was something new in her posture, a hint of urgency. "Everyone, thank you for your patience. We have more information that could change the timeline of our departure." A collective hush settled over the group. What could this mean? The silence stretched, heavy with anticipation as everyone leaned in closer, catching the seriousness flickering in the captain's eyes. Charles's breath hitched. Could this be good news? Or was more waiting ahead? His hope hung in the balance, and the question lingered unbidden. What comes next? The atmosphere crackled with curiosity as the captain scanned the crowd, the tension almost tangible. Charles could see it in the faces around him, an array of hope, concern, and impatience, each one eager for clarity. He tightened his grip on Mia's hand, feeling her small fingers entwined with his, a comforting reminder of innocence amid the chaos. "Everyone, I need you to listen carefully," the captain began, her voice steady. "We've been in contact with air traffic control, and they've alerted us that conditions are changing. If all goes well, we could be boarding in about 30 minutes." A wave of relief washed over the crowd, murmurs of cheer and sighs of gratitude rippling through the masses. Mia jumped up and down, her excitement bubbling over. "Daddy, we'll get to be heroes on the flight too, right?" Charles smiled, his heart a mix of pride and admiration for the spirit that radiated from his children, even in uncertain times. "Absolutely, Pumpkin. You two are the best." As Ethan started another joke, a man in the front row suddenly slumped forward, his face in his hands. The laughter faded, replaced by a shaky silence. "It's okay, sir," the captain said gently, stepping forward. "What is wrong?" The man looked up, his eyes glistening. "I have my twins with me," he stammered, glancing behind him where two small figures clung to their father's legs. "They've been crying for the last hour." "I promised them an adventure today." Charles instinctively moved forward, feeling a tug at his heart. "Hey," he crouched down, so he was eye level with the twins, who looked scared and worn out. "Do you want to hear a fun story? Something to take your minds off things?" He gestured for Mia and Ethan to join him. "My kids are great storytellers." The twins perked up. "Really?" one of them asked, eyes wide and curious. Mia took a step closer, her enthusiasm infectious. "We promise it'll be the best story ever." She then introduced herself and Ethan, who smiled shyly. As they began sharing an imaginative tale, one of a flying dragon and a princess who could talk to animals, the mood shifted yet again. The man watched, a flicker of hope igniting in his expression. With every word, the twins slowly began to smile, their giggles slipping through the anxiety that had gripped them earlier. Charles felt a warmth spreading in the terminal. It turned out that the power of stories was more than just words. It could create bonds, lighten hearts, and, in this case, draw a father back to his children when he felt he was losing them. Minutes ticked by as laughter grew, the captain quietly observing, a knowing smile gracing her lips. Charles felt the weight of the world lift slightly as he watched the twins bounce closer, captivated by Mia's animated expressions. In a moment of spontaneity, Ethan suggested, "How about we all go around and share our favorite adventures?" With that, every person seated began a string of tales, fostering connections that felt impossible just moments ago. But just as the laughter reached a crescendo, the captain cleared her throat once more, her face suddenly serious again. "While that was wonderful, I must let you know that we have an additional issue. It could impact our departure time even further." Charles's heart sank again. He exchanged concerned glances with Ethan and Mia, their collective spirits wavering. What more could they face? Worry clawed at him, a bitter contrast to the shared joy they had just created. As the crowd quieted, anxiety creeping back in, it became clear that this story was far from over. What was the captain about to reveal? The captain took a deep breath, her eyes scanning the crowd, taking note of the anxious faces. "I want you to know that while we are optimistic, there has been a technical issue with the aircraft. Our maintenance team is working hard to resolve it, but it might take longer than we expected." A wave of dismay swept through the crowd. Charles felt his stomach twist. The earlier laughter seemed an ocean away, replaced by the rising tide of anxiety. He glanced at Mia and Ethan, struggling to mask their worry. The promise of adventure was tinged with uncertainty, and he could see it reflected in their nervous grips on his hands. "Don't you worry, everyone," the captain pressed on, her tone firm yet comforting. "There's a chance we could be airborne soon, even if it takes a little longer. Please stay together and keep the spirits high. We'll make sure you get to your destinations." Charles straightened up, turning to Mia and Ethan. "How about we keep sharing more stories? Those twin heroes right there, they should tell one too." He gave a nod toward the twins, still standing close to their father. Eager eyes turned to the duo, and one of the twins, after a bit of encouragement, slowly stood up. I have a story." He hesitated but continued. It's about a giant that lived in a mountain, and he had a pet bear that loved to dance. Laughter erupted again in pockets across the terminal as the little boy spun the tale. The tension began to ease, the sound of shared joy slowly drowning out the uncertainty. Mia clapped her hands. What about a dance party? We can all pretend we're at a big concert. Her suggestion was met with confused giggles, but she stood up with her eyes sparkling, unfazed by the uncertain situation. Ethan joined in. Yeah, let us do it. Everyone stand up. Charles chuckled. They were a force of positivity and imaginative energy. One by one, passengers rose, and soon, the terminal resembled a spontaneous gathering rather than a waiting room. Music flooded through their minds as they mimicked dance moves. For brief moments, the atmosphere was transformed, with occasional squeals of laughter and a wave of encouragement thrown around like confetti. Even the captain peeked in with a soft smile, appreciating the resilience sparking around her, but just when the room began to feel like a cohesive unit, the sound of a loud clanging interrupted their merriment. An alarm rang out, echoing through the terminal. Oh, the father of the twins whispered, his earlier optimism replaced by anxiety. The little boy who had shared his giant story fell silent, fear creeping back into his eyes. Stay calm, everyone, the captain said, urgency creeping into her voice. Please return to your seats immediately. We need to assess the situation. As the crowd dutifully sorted themselves, Charles felt the weight of the world settle back on his shoulders. He shared a look with Ethan and Mia. Their playful spark had flickered out, replaced by an unsettling chill. Do you think we're going to be okay? Mia whispered, gripping Charles' hand tightly. I promise you, sweetheart, we'll be just fine, Charles replied, but, even to his own ears, the confidence sounded fragile. The uncertainty loomed large again, the warmth of connection moments before now feeling like a distant memory. What had the alarm meant? And what would happen next? The terminal held its breath, a heavy silence smothering the vibrant energy that had just blossomed. Charles could see the tension written all over the faces around him, fear, confusion, and dread swirling in the air like storm clouds. With a deep breath, he squeezed Mia's hand tighter, hoping to convey a sense of reassurance he wasn't quite feeling. Can we just change the story? Ethan piped up, his eyes darting around as if searching for an escape. What if we go back to the giant? Or maybe we can create a superhero who saves the day. Charles smiled at his son's imagination. That's the spirit, buddy. He turned to the rest of the weary crowd. How about a new story? Everyone can pitch in their ideas. We can make our own adventure together. A soft murmur of agreement rippled through the passengers, and even the twins seemed to perk up at the suggestion. Maybe the giant and the bear can rescue us from whatever's wrong with the plane. One of the twins suggested, spirit rekindled. Yeah, Mia added, her brown eyes widening with excitement. They can take us on a flying ride. Laughter eased back into the atmosphere, albeit tenser. Charles felt a flicker of hope as people began adding lines to the story. Each suggestion was a thread weaving them closer together, allowing them to produce light where there was only darkness. But as the excitement built, the captain's voice sliced through the chatter. Ladies and gentlemen, I need your attention. We are currently working on the situation, but it seems we're facing a more serious issue than initially thought. Please stay seated and continue to stay calm. With each word, Charles felt the weight return, heavy and unyielding. Something inside him trembled, not just for the uncertainty of their journey, but for the innocence being overshadowed by fear. He glanced over at Mia, who looked both curious and frightened. Daddy? She whispered, her voice barely reaching him. What is going to happen? He opened his mouth to reassure her, but the words stuck. All he could do was hold her tight, feeling the warmth of her small frame against his turmoil. Suddenly, a voice pierced through the fog of worry, a bright, clear sound that stood out above the rest. A little girl, perhaps only 5 or 6 years old, stood up by her mother's side. With a determined spark in her eye, she shouted, "Let us sing a song. That'll make us feel better." A ripple of surprise spread through the crowd. Who would be thought? Her innocence drew attention, and a few passengers began to nod in agreement. The mother kneeled beside her, whispering encouragement before the little girl took a breath. "Okay, I'll start. Twinkle, twinkle, little star," she sang, her voice clear and sweet. One by one, others joined in. The unexpected melody seeped into the anxious atmosphere, creating tiny pockets of comfort wherever it flowed. Charles felt his heart lift. Laughter and kindness washed over the apprehension, an antidote to their collective fear. "See?" he said to Mia and Ethan, his voice steadier now. "We're still together, right? Nothing can break us apart." As the song carried on, more voices rose, bringing lightness back to the situation. Perhaps they were not just passengers waiting for a plane anymore. They were a community, bound together by this moment of shared vulnerability. But then, amid the harmony, the sharp blare of the alarm shot through the terminal again, cutting through their fragile unity. "What was that?" someone shouted, worry shadowing the previously lifted spirits. The captain's voice returned, now layered with urgency. "Everyone, please brace yourselves. We need to prepare for a potential evacuation." Panic flared once more, overwhelming their temporary calm. Charles's heart raced as he exchanged frightened glances with Mia and Ethan, who were clinging to him like vines to a tree. "Stay close. Whatever happens next, we stick together." But would they really be okay? The room felt electric, the atmosphere charged with doubt and fear. Would their newfound strength be enough to face what lay ahead? As the tension thickened in the air, Charles tightened his embrace around Mia and Ethan. The alarming blare echoed again, and a wave of panic rippled through the gathered crowd. The captain's voice thundered through the intercom, but her words understood less than reassuring. Everyone's hearts raced, fear etched on their faces. "Okay, everyone," Charles said, summoning his courage. "We're going to take a deep breath together." Mia and Ethan looked up, eyes wide as Charles led them in a slow inhale. They filled their lungs with air, and as they exhaled, he felt a spark of hope. That beautiful little girl's song from before echoed in his mind, urging him to be brave. "Just like our new superhero friends we invented," he reminded them. "They look danger in the eyes and stay strong, right?" Mia nodded, her grip on his hand tightening. "Yeah, they keep flying," she exclaimed. "That's right," he said, his voice rising with enthusiasm. "And they help each other along the way." Around them, murmurs of excitement began to stitch back through the crowd. One by one, passengers took a breath together, recalling the camaraderie that had formed during the storytelling and songs. "Who wants to share another story?" Ethan piped up, a hint of determination sneaking into his voice. Heads turned, and slowly, more hands shot up. Charles watched as the spark of community reignited. "Every flight has its bumps and scares, but that's how our heroes grow stronger, isn't it?" A woman in the back began. "I once flew through a storm, and we all made it safe with laughter and stories." Another passenger chimed in, recounting a tale of a lost luggage adventure that had turned into a family vacation memory. Everyone began recounting their funniest plane experiences, and the laughter soon enveloped the room like a warm, cozy blanket. Just as the swell of hope grew, the captain stood firmly at the front again. "It seems we're experiencing some turbulence," she said, her tone grave but steady. "But I assure you, we are working to keep everyone safe and calm, just like you're doing now." Charles felt a jolt of pride. They were in this together, a sea of faces shining with courage and unity. When the captain shared that emergency procedures would help guide them through, the children next to Charles squealed, "We can be superheroes." The infectious spirit spread. Mia jumped up and started a chant, "Superheroes aren't scared. Superheroes are brave." The passengers around them joined in, united in their strength. As the captain prepared to announce more updates, the energy surged with possibility. "Together, we can make magic happen," Charles proclaimed. He glanced down at Ethan and Mia, who now had bright smiles, eyes alight with excitement. And then, beyond the din of worried murmurs, just as they sensed the release of the alarm, a voice rang clear above the noise. "Ladies and gentlemen, your safe evacuation is underway." Cheers erupted as people began to settle into plans that had been laid out. The intensity of the moment came to a crescendo as passengers remembered to look up rather than down, remembering their strength. "Mia!" A voice called out from the crowd. It was her mother, rushing through the maze of chairs until she reached her little girl, enveloping her in a warm embrace. Charles watched as the two joined in joyful celebration, and his heart swelled with gratitude for their bond, grateful for everything they had faced together. "Mr. Charles." Lily's mother waved as she spotted him. "You've done wonders today." "Thank you." He felt his cheeks flush with warmth as he hugged the twins tighter, their shared triumph pulsing through him like electricity. "Let us get home together," he said, the reassurance piercing through the previous dread. "We will," came the chorus from every corner, as hands clapped and laughter spilled over like soda fizzing out of a bottle. Finally, they moved, each step feeling lighter, renewed bonds forming in place of the uncertainty that once threatened to consume them. As they marched toward the exit, Charles turned back one last time, allowing his heart a moment of still. He glimpsed the room strangers turned into family, moments turned to memories, fear transformed into triumph. He realized something he had nearly forgotten: love, laughter, and connection were the real superheroes flying at his side. As they stepped out into the open air, the rain lightened to a gentle mist, droplets sparkling like diamonds against the light breaking through the clouds. In that moment, he felt reborn, and he knew that from now on, the most important meeting anytime and anywhere would be finding each other again. Amidst the crowd of relieved passengers flooding out, Charles looked down at Mia and Ethan's bright faces. "We made it," he said, and they cheered. "Yes!" Their voices rang out, siblings united. In that instant, he knew he would forever treasure this moment. He would carry it with him, a beacon to guide him home, back to family, back to laughter, no matter how far he drifted away. "We can face anything together," and just before another cloud moved overhead, a spark of hope shone in the air. Don't miss what comes next. You need to subscribe now to keep up with these incredible transformations. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to help us feed the algorithm, and comment below with your thoughts on this ending. It means the world. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this story of hope and community. Don't wait not even one more second to share.